Congratulations, Georgia. A World Series and a college football national championship all in 1 year. It shows the strength and vitality of the Peach State. But the real reason that we're here today is to talk about elections and voting in Georgia. President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are coming here later today to push for policies that will undermine the integrity of our elections. Just a few miles from here, the President and Vice President will push to change long-standing rules so they can push a partisan bill that rigs the rules of elections to favor Democrats. Make no mistake, this is an attempt to weaken election security under the guise of voting rights. Democrats lost seats in the last November 2020 election cycle, even as Joe Biden took the White House. Biden's presidential victory came down to less than 50,000 votes nationwide. And all indications suggest Republicans will do well in this November's midterm elections. Neither the Democrat Party nor the Biden administration have the support of the American people for this federal elections takeover. Though they will warn about threats to democracy if their agenda isn't passed, both the President and the Vice President have taken action to undermine democracy in the great state of Georgia by endorsing Stacey Abrams' stolen election claims. She lost in 2018 fair and square. It's about time liberals acknowledged it. As someone who stood up for Georgia's 2020 election time and time again, I know how these stolen election claims undermine the confidence in our elections, regardless of where they come from. Liberals have spread lies about Georgia's election law. President Biden supported a boycott of Georgia based on those lies, and that cost the Peach State the All-Star game and an estimated $100 million for small businesses. To counteract the damages they're doing to our elections, I am calling on Congress to take steps. I am calling on Congress to take steps to strengthen our elections, to restore the confidence that decades of stolen election claims have stolen from our elections infrastructure. My proposal restores faith in the integrity of our election system and strengthens security. First, I am calling for an amendment, a United States constitutional amendment that only American citizens are voting in our elections. New York City, San Francisco, and other liberal jurisdictions are allowing non-citizens to vote in elections. If critics really don't want non-citizens to vote, then they should support a constitutional amendment. The only reason to oppose them is if the individuals at some point plan to bring non-citizen voting to Georgia in the future. America's leaders should be elected by American citizens. It's as simple as that. An overwhelming majority of Americans agree. Second, I am calling for national voter ID laws. Voter ID is supported by 80% of all Americans, majorities of both political parties, and all major demographic groups. Voter ID provides confidence that our elections are secure. The Democrats' legislative proposals would eliminate voter ID. Under their proposals, anyone could vote by simply signing a paper at the polling site saying they are who they claim to be. Third, I am calling for a nationwide ban on ballot harvesting. No one should be between the voter and the election official, especially partisan actors. That is why my first act as Secretary of State was to get ballot harvesting banned in the state of Georgia. An election in North Carolina was overturned because of ballot harvesting, and also in New Jersey relating to ballot harvesting schemes. This should be illegal nationwide. Fourth, I am calling on Congress to cut down the blackout period prior to an election for list maintenance. As we saw in 2020, the 90-day federal blackout period before an election makes it essentially impossible for us to update our voter rolls during election year. Studies have shown that 11% of all Americans move every year. In Georgia, that 11% would represent 200,000 Georgians. What that leads to is voter lists becoming outdated by the time that the elections begin. As liberals in Washington, D.C. attempt to take over Georgia's elections, I'm taking the initiative to lay out a plan for secure elections at the federal level. Americans need the confidence that their elections are secure and also accurate. They need to know that only those who are supposed to vote can vote, and that their election officials have the tools necessary to uphold the integrity of the elections. While the Biden administration plan seeks to rig the rules to favor Democrats, my plan will help ensure the integrity of America's elections for years to come and give voters the confidence in our elections and the election results. Last night, Georgia showed the nation how to play football. Today, we're showing you how to lead on secure elections for all of America. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Yes, sir.
Getting back to the president's visit, so are you saying that the president and the vice president's visit here are more political theater than actually any substance that will have any impact here on Georgia?
I'm saying that H.R. 1 and H.R. 4 would actually be a federal takeover elections. What they would allow is for same-day registration and also do away with photo ID. In effect, it opens up for anyone to vote on election day, and that opens the door for non-citizen voting. We want to make sure the only people that are voting in our elections are American citizens. Do we have another question? Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you about two pieces of legislation, one that's already been filed, one that's on the way. First of all, State Senator Butch Miller's filed legislation to ban drop boxes. I'd like to hear your position on that. And then the House Speaker is going to be dropping legislation that would put election issues under original jurisdiction of the GBI. I'd like to hear your position on that.
Well, I think it's about time that the Secretary of State's office is fully funded. If it's fully funded, I think things will work that way.
But any positions on those two bills?
Things work through the General Assembly, but a fully funded elections division for the Secretary of State's office is appropriate.
So your federal proposals here, are you currently working with any federal lawmakers to get that introduced in a bill? And with the Democrats currently going to House and Senate, do you think there's votes there to pass these items?
Well, I think I set the record straight on what things need to have happened. Many years ago, there was the Carter-Baker Commission. It was a bipartisan commission, but Congress needs to think about what we need to do. Number one was we need to have a constitutional amendment that only American citizens vote. Number two, we need to outlaw ballot harvesting. And number three, we need to make sure that we take care of the 90-day blackout period. And then we need photo ID for every single state. That will restore voter confidence, and we also then will have voter accuracy.
Just to clarify, are you working with any lawmakers?
That I let the feds do what they do. I do what I do here at the state level.
Secretary, there are a number of Republicans in the Senate, the U.S. Senate, along with a small group of Senate Democrats that are looking at revising the Electoral Count Act because they think that it would help prevent exploitation that former President Trump tried to use during the last election. Do you agree with them reforming or revising that law?
I know in Georgia that we had a fair and honest election, and every single allegation we tracked down, and that we then certified that race. Well, the federal office holders need to work together to decide what they want to do on that issue, and I'll let them do their work.
Secretary Raffensperger, what is your position on drop boxes and moving to paper ballots?
Well, we already have a verifiable paper ballot. And what we approved when we brought that in, that was something that we introduced, and that was one of my key election issues, is I wanted to have a verifiable paper ballot. And thank goodness we had those in the last election, so that we went ahead and did a 100% hand recount of all 5 million ballots, the 1.3 million absentee ballots, and all the other in-person voting. Every single ballot, what they showed is that the hand count was very similar to the machine count. Proved two things: that the results were accurate, and President Biden did carry the state of Georgia, and also the machines were accurate. Well, thank you very much today. Have a great day.